It's past 5:30 and it is time for me to call the meeting, the regular meeting of Greenwood County Council for Tuesday, August the 20th, 2019 to order. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act, the date, the time, the location, and the agenda, this meeting's been posted on the front entrance of the Greenwood County Courthouse, also on the front entrance of the Greenwood County Library. A copy of that agenda has been made available to the media and also been posted on the county's website. With that being said, I'm going to ask everyone to stand for our invocation. And following our invocation, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pray. We thank you, O Lord, for the opportunity to come and gather together this evening. We ask for your blessings on this meeting. We ask that you guide and direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. We thank you for helping us accomplish our work and our goals this day. Amen.
Amen.
Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. We appreciate you being here. And I have a little bit of a surprise for us tonight. We have had the opportunity in the past to recognize some of our outstanding athletes and other people in our community. And recently I met a young man who is a product of Greenwood. And his name is Michael McLeod, and Michael is sitting on the front row there. Michael is a native of Greenwood. He is the son of Darrell and Tamara McLeod. His father is a pathologist at the hospital. And Michael graduated from Emerald High School. And he graduated as the valedictorian at Emerald High School. I discovered Michael in a church service where he played for a church service that I was attending. And he played his bagpipes. And after the church service was over, I went to Michael and had a discussion with him. And I found out that he's on his way to Furman. And he's just an outstanding young man. And we have so many outstanding young men and women in this community. And I thought it was a good time for us to highlight one of our own. And sometimes we, for good reasons often, we dwell on some of our problems. But Michael McLeod is not a problem. He's just a good young man who's worked hard, comes from a good family. He just recently returned from a missions trip to Mexico. And if you have about 30 minutes, he'll tell you all about it. But he had great experience in Mexico, and he gives back to his community, and he's going to continue to give back. And I have asked him to come and share some of his bagpipe music with us tonight as part of our opening ceremony. So Michael, if you want to say anything, you're welcome to. If not, please come forward and share with us your music.
Thank you. I'll just introduce the pieces of music that I'll be playing. First, I am going to have to warm up just a touch. I'll try to keep that as brief as possible, but if you've heard a bagpipe before, you've probably also heard the squealing and the tuning and all that goes along with it. It takes a lot to make it sounding good for a performance. The first tune that I'll play is Scotland the Brave. If any of you just absolutely love bagpipe music, a few people recognize the name of that tune. If you don't recognize the name, you might have heard it before. It's a very popular choice for bagpipers. And then after that, I'm going to go into a Scottish hornpipe, a nice lively dance tune, and then an Irish jig, which is an even livelier dance tune. So I hope you enjoy it.
Michael, would you stand back this way?
Sure.
Great, thank you.
Michael, we thank you for coming. I do appreciate you taking your time to come and sharing your talent with not only county council, but with our visitors tonight. And we want you to know that you will be in our thoughts and prayers, and we wish you well at Furman. I believe you're leaving Thursday?
This Friday.
Friday. So we wish you well, and we'll be thinking about you. Have a great time.
Thank you.
Before you leave, Michael, before you leave, Susan McIntyre, clerk of council, she plays the bagpipes too.
I can play the chanter right now. I'm not good with that. I'm trying to get in the air.
And when I told her you were coming, she said, I don't think I'll bring mine. Thank you for coming. God bless you.
That's good.
He's excellent.
Sometimes people say we don't have good things happening in Greenwood, and we do, folks. don't we?
Amen.
We have good things happening, and when I see things like this, and I just think they need to be given some notice. Council, you have been supplied with a copy of the minutes of the July 16th regular meeting and the July 22nd, 2019 special call meeting. Are there any changes to those minutes? If not, do I have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Childs, second by Ms. Spencer. All in favor? And those minutes stand approved. We have no presentation tonight. We have no public comments. We do have a third and final reading on an ordinance, which is 2019 13, which amends the zoning ordinance so that two parcels of land owned by Greenwood Holding Corporation and Andrew Evans Taylor properties located at 2307 and 2317 bypass 25 southeast. The zoning is changed from R5 multifamily to C2 general commercial. This is third and final reading. We had a public hearing at the last meeting. What is your pleasure?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Moats and a second by Mr. Lane. Any further discussion? All in favor? And that is final approval on ordinance 2019-13. Council, we have a consideration of an H-tax hospitality tax application for the Hodges Cokesbury Fire Department in the amount up to $10,100 for expenses related to the Hodges Hoedown and Fall Festival. We heard a presentation by Mrs. Baber in our Administration and Finance Committee meeting, and I think it was the consensus that we would consider approving an amount not to exceed $7,000, and for Mrs. Baber to work with the county manager and the county attorney to make sure that all of her expenditures complies with the state law governing H-tax expenditures. That is the recommendation. I need a motion and second if that is what you wish to do.
Move to approve with the stipulated limit, Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Lane, second by Ms. Childs. Any further discussion? We would give you an opportunity to say anything else that you would like. Ms. Baber?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Somebody else? I heard it. Anybody else? Are you ready to vote? All in favor? Thank you, and that is passed. We have reappointment of the Gleams Board of Commissioners for Greenwood County, and we received a legal briefing from the county attorney and the county manager in our executive session, and we have asked the county attorney and the county manager to meet with some officials at the Gleams and to gather some additional information before we act. Are there any questions or additional comments on that? So we will postpone any action on that. We have consideration of a contract with the Gordon Group for the Greenwood County Volunteer Fire Station in Bradley, South Carolina. We heard a presentation in the Administration and Finance. Josh, are you here? Josh, give us those final numbers one time for everybody in this meeting. What are we approving tonight?
Approving the contract for
It was 200 and,
242,943.
okay, and that's coming out of the
Capital project
capital
sales.
sales tax.
Right.
You've heard the information presented by Josh. Do you have any additional questions or comments? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I so move that we
Have a
accept.
motion by Ms. Childs and a second by Mr. Lane. All ready to vote? All in favor? And that's approved, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a resolution, 2019-11, which considers the transfer of funds from the road fund balance to Backwater Road Project Fund. We heard a presentation by the county engineer, and Mr. Russian, would you come and tell us what that number that is being transferred? Some people did not hear what your bid was, so if you would provide that information again.
The bid was from Satterfield Construction for $324,045.
Okay, so we are being asked to approve the transfer of those funds from the road fund balance to make this project happen. Any questions? Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Chairman.
So moved, second.
Motion by Mr. Lane, a second by Dr. Moats. Any other comments?
Can I ask, when are you gonna commence this work, Mr. Rushing?
We'll hopefully have contracts and all the bonding in place within 2 to 3 weeks. Then they'll have 90 days construction time. So they could start 3 months from now and still be done in time. It's really probably only a week or two worth of work for Satterfield Construction. It could be as early as a month from now. It'd just be any time within those 90 days, plus the time to get all contract documents signed.
So those wonderful people in Newport can ride on a new road maybe by Christmas?
Maybe by Christmas, yes, sir.
Hallelujah, amen.
But our target is to get it done as soon as we possibly can, understanding that when bad weather comes, there is a cutoff on the paving. So we're gonna try to get it done.
Yes, sir.
You've heard the explanation. We have a motion and a second. Are you ready to vote? All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, County Manager. Thank you, Mr. Tim, and all the folks from Newport. Appreciate it, all of your assistance. The next item is a resolution 2019-12, which considers support of widening Highway 246 South and applying for state infrastructure bank funds in that effort. Josh, do you have anything you want to add on that? Okay, you've heard the explanation in the committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Moats, second by Ms. Spencer. Any questions or comments? All in favor? And that resolution stands approved. We have Resolution 2019-13, which considers the ordering of a public hearing to be held for the purpose of making a determination as to whether Greenwood Metropolitan District, a special purpose district located in Greenwood County, South Carolina, shall be authorized to issue not exceeding $10 million of general obligation bonds of Greenwood Metropolitan District, the proceeds of which shall be used to provide funds to finance the cost of improvements to the sewer system of the district and to refund certain outstanding obligations of the district. Mr. Chapman, you want to give us is he here? Give us a brief explanation for some that may not have been in that.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As I stated earlier, Greenwood Metropolitan District, we have 2 wastewater treatment plants. Wilson Creek is our larger plant. It treats about 6 million gallons a day, and West Alexander treats about 1 million gallons a day. We also have about 400 miles of collection system, and we serve about 48,000 residents in Greenwood County. So we're asking for these funds so that we can make improvements to our collection system, the trunk lines, and to our treatment facilities. This will help us to ensure that we have adequate capacity and capabilities for economic development and to support growth in Greenwood County.
You've heard the explanation. Do any of the council members have any questions of Mr. Chapman or either to Lisa? You ready to vote? Do I have a motion and a second?
So moved, Chairman. Second.
Motion by Mr. Lane, a second by Mr. Templeton. Any questions, comments? All in favor? And that resolution is approved. We have two ordinances which we will have first readings in title only. One is ordinance 2019-14, which amends the zoning ordinance so that land owned by CJJS Holdings LLC located at 208 Bypass 225 South changes the zoning classification from C2 General Commercial to R1 Single Family Residential. That is first reading in title only. Ordinance 2019-15, which authorizes Greenwood Metropolitan District to issue not exceeding $10 million of GO bonds, the proceeds of which shall be used to finance the cost of improvements to the sewer system of the district and to provide funds to refund certain outstanding obligations of the district. That is first reading in title only, and both of those ordinances will have public hearings at the next meeting or at the second meeting in September.
Yeah, the zoning is next meeting, and the other one is the 17th.
Okay. Then we have consideration of an easement purchase letter agreement between United Telephone of the Carolinas doing business as CenturyLink in Greenwood County relating to parcel ID 6877-675-791 located at 201 Puckett's Ferry Road. This is an existing easement which has been in place for a period of time, and the company is asking for us to extend that easement for a period of 10 years. It was explained to us by the county attorney. Do you need any additional information before you vote?
One question, Chairman. Late in our conversations, Elizabeth, I think Mr. Moats mentioned the potential expansion of 246. Do we need to have any front-end communications before we make this easement change?
I think we probably should. What I would recommend is going on and taking your public hearing tonight, so that we've got that taken care of, and then I'll talk to the folks at CenturyLink and make sure that they're aware that the widening of that road is.
Because that could change the entire complexion of that.
So what I need to do is ask if anybody wants to speak to this matter tonight. Does anybody here would like to speak in favor of this easement letter that would be granted by the county? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? It is a parcel of property that's located near the Fuji complex, right at the corner of 246 and Puckett's Ferry Road. It's an existing easement, and the question Mr. Lane had was, we just passed another resolution seeking additional funds to expand 246. We want to make sure that nothing with this easement will cause problems with that expansion, and that's what the attorney and the manager will look into. Then I'll close the public hearing. Do we need to vote on that easement tonight?
No, so let me check on with CenturyLink and make sure that they're aware of the project, and we'll work through those details and come back to you.
Okay. Then that's all of the business on my agenda. Is there anything else? District reports, Ms. Childs.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Councilman Spencer and Councilman Lane for their attending the prayer vigil that was held here on the 15th. And it was really a wonderful occasion. We had 20 pastors from all over Greenwood. All of them showed up, and they just prayed, and I just believe the prayers went all the way to heaven. And I believe there's going to be some changes in this community. And our plans are to do it again in January when our children go back to school. And they each represented 25 schools in Greenwood County, 96, and we're shut. So our plan is for January, I think it's January the 2nd. We'll meet here again. Go pray.
Thank you. Mr. Allison?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to remind everybody that the farmers market is open for business. I want to say thank you to the council and to Toby and his staff for the improvements that have been made to the building out there, the painting and the new signage. Went out Saturday, bought a watermelon that we've been enjoying the fruits of that later in executive section. I know it's going to be as long as it was. I bought 2 of them. But thank you for what you've done. And they're open on Wednesday mornings from like 7 to 1, and then same on Saturday. So want some good local grown, most of the growers are from Greenwood and grow locally, and we certainly want to support that. And so,
Thank you, Ms. Allison. Ms. Spencer?
No, I just want to say I had a chance to meet with a lot of our young people and a couple of the school teachers right before school started back and pray with them for the school year.
Anything else?
That ends my report.
Mr. Mopes?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to take an opportunity for personal privilege, if I might. The Greenwood community lost a champion this past week with the death of Judy Burns, the owner and publisher of the Greenwood Index Journal. Judy was a very special person who embodied grace and intellect, generosity, kindness, and good old-fashioned Southern charm. All of it as a part of her character and her life. Her quiet, modest, reserved, private demeanor was well known and respected by all. As the owner of the Index Journal, she took pride in being a journalist, always ensuring that the standards for the reporting of news was concise and accurate. As a champion for the freedom of the press, she stood up against the partisan forces that would hinder the right of the public to know what is going on in local government. At a time in our society when powerful governmental leaders are prone to denigrate the press, spreading false rumors and malicious rumors, undermining the public's trust in the Fourth Estate by labeling accurate reporting as fake facts, Judy Burns stood fervently up and defended the role of journalism to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Judy Burns was a friend of mine whom I respected and admired. Part of my decision to enter into public life, serving on this council, was based on her encouragement and support. I shall always be indebted to her for her friendship and her advice. As I think of Judy's influence and character, I'm reminded of the words of Paul in his letter to the Philippians. He wrote, "Finally, my friends, keep your minds on whatever is true, whatever is pure, whatever is right, whatever is holy, whatever is friendly, and whatever is proper. Don't ever stop thinking about what is truly worthwhile and worthy of praise. And the God who gives peace will be with you." May God's Spirit be with Judy, and may His Spirit be with all of us as we remember the life and legacy of my friend, Judy Burns. That is my report, sir.
Mr. Templeton?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as I always do this time of year, I do want to remind you that school is back in session. I ask that you pray for our teachers. They have such a special place, not only educating our youth, but being sometimes mamas, daddies, disciplinarians, friends, whatever it happens to be. But please pray for our teachers. Please pray for our students. Drive carefully in the mornings as we have children standing out at bus stops and this, that, and the other. And I'll also ask you to pray for those of us who are married to teachers in this first week back. That is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lane?
Thank you, Chairman. I want to recognize Tammy and Jim. Thank you for being here from Hodges Fire tonight. I know last night was a tough night for you. Our thoughts and prayers, certainly, as I mentioned in the opening prayer before our admin and finance session, are with the parishioners and the folks of Presbyterian Church. That was a tragic event that just one of those unfortunate things that happened. Thank you again for that presentation you gave us, Tammy. That was really a good presentation. I'm glad that's worked out well for you. All well, Chairman, in District 7, unless I don't know about it. Thank you.
Let me say a personal appreciation to the county manager and the county attorney. You know, we as council members, a lot of people often wonder what we do and whether we really have an impact. Several weeks ago, school bus driver out of District 52 called me. And I did not know this gentleman. He knew my wife when my wife taught school in '96. And he said, Mr. Brown, I need some help. And I said, what is it? He said, there's a road torn up and it's in your district. It was Barkwood Lane. And so I met him out on Barkwood Lane, and it was a huge, I mean, it's huge, wasn't it, totally? Big. And he said, they won't let me drive my bus down that road anymore because of that hole. And they won't let me come in from the second entrance because I have to turn around, and it's not, doesn't meet the policies to turn my bus around. So he said, all those kids that live in those houses right there, Mr. Brown's got to walk all the way to the main road, which is Irvin's Fish Camp Road. And when we got with the county manager and the county attorney, they said, Steve, that's a private road, or at least that portion of the road is private. It's over a dam. It has a pond next to it. And we know all of the ramifications of that. But I want to tell you, these two people, along with Rob Russian and those, met with the person who supposedly owns it. And we have a temporary, or at least we hope within the next day or two, it may be just a load of crusher run in that hole. But I think we're going to be able to get that bus across that place. And I think that's what county government's about. And sometimes we do things that everybody views as great and wonderful, and sometimes we just do the small things that help small children get from their home to a bus that's going to take them to school. So it's not easy to always deal with these situations, because if you do for one, you got to do for another, and we all understand that. But these people didn't give up, and they may be only temporary, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. But I think that's indicative of the people we have working for Greenwood County. And I do appreciate it, folks. Not looking for votes, I'm just looking for kids not to have to walk to a school bus. That's all I was looking for, and y'all helped me do that. And you wouldn't believe how happy the gentleman who drove that bus was when I called him and told him that y'all were going to get that done. So I say a big thank you to him. I'm critical a lot, but I want you to know I praise you tonight for what you've done. Thank you very much. Mr. Manager, you have anything?
No, sir.
Madam Attorney?
No, sir.
Anybody on council wish to go back and add to? Ms. Giles?
No, not tonight.
Our regular meeting is adjourned, and we will reconvene our executive session. Jeff, Lisa, folks from Hodges Fire Department, all of the staff, visitors, thank you for coming. This meeting is adjourned.